Libra, my dear one, someone is about to be removed from your life, and it is not punishment, it is divine protection. You didn't push them away. Heaven did. The truth is, this person or energy has been silently weighing you down. Maybe you couldn't name it. Maybe you didn't want to believe it. But your soul has known for a long time. And now, that inner knowing is about to become undeniable. You are guided to this very moment, to this message, to this sacred corner of the universe known as Zodiac Whisper Tarot, because your spirit called it in. Not your mind. Not your circumstances. Your higher self. So no, Libra, this isn't just a horoscope reading. This is a spiritual intervention. This is your soul's alignment with the divine timing of release, protection, and breakthrough. There is a hidden energy that no longer resonates with you, and the universe is now ready to cut that cord for good. There is a pattern, perhaps in love, in friendships, or in your family, that has exhausted your emotional bandwidth. You've held on out of kindness, out of fear, out of loyalty. But now, heaven is stepping in on your behalf. You don't have to carry this alone anymore. That is the message. Pause for a moment and reflect. Who or what have you silently felt the need to let go of, but haven't had the clarity or courage to do so? This message isn't here to make decisions for you. It's here to confirm what your spirit has already whispered. And let me be clear, this is not a coincidence. When you clicked on this video, you stepped into sacred timing. You stepped into spiritual justice. You stepped into a space where your soul gets to rest and release what it no longer needs to carry. And if something inside you is already resonating with these words, I want you to do something powerful. Type the number 1155 in the comments right now. That number isn't random. It's a divine code, a spiritual signature for transformation, realignment, and God's hand removing what no longer serves your destiny. It's how you say yes to your next chapter. It's how you anchor your readiness. And before we go deeper, allow me a moment to speak from the heart. If you've liked, commented, subscribed, or simply shown up to be part of this space, thank you. From the deepest part of my being, I want you to know that your presence is not taken for granted. Your energy, your growth, your engagement is what keeps this channel, this community, this light alive. Every single interaction you have with this video plants a seed in your own path. And that ripple effect doesn't just bless you, it blesses others you haven't even met yet. So, Libra, stay with me until the end of this reading. You are going to want to hear what the universe has been waiting to reveal. Because it's not just about who is leaving. It's about what is coming in once they're gone. Now tell me, what inner voice brought you here today? Let's find out together. There are moments in life when we feel the shift before we see it. Libra, for you, that moment may have already begun. You might have found yourself waking up at unusual hours, feeling a subtle sense of disconnection around certain people, or having vivid, almost symbolic dreams that seem to speak in a language you can't quite translate but feel deeply nonetheless. These aren't random. They are early echoes of a higher truth moving toward you, and the universe is preparing you to receive it. Energy doesn't lie, even when words do. There may be someone near you whose energy no longer harmonizes with your frequency. Perhaps they never did, but you were too empathetic, too loyal, or too hopeful to notice. Their presence doesn't need to be loud to affect you. Sometimes the heaviest burdens come from what is unspoken, the silent judgments, the manipulations masked as concern, the subtle competition wrapped in compliments. You don't need a confrontation to know you're being drained. You felt it in your nervous system, your digestion, your restlessness. And that's why your intuition has been growing louder lately. It's trying to make sure you don't ignore what your body already knows. This is what many astrologers refer to as an energetic mismatch, and it's something Libras often experience deeply. As a sign ruled by Venus, you are wired for peace, balance, and relationship harmony. You seek beauty not just in the external world but in the emotional flow between souls. But that strength can also become your vulnerability when you absorb disharmony and try to smooth it over rather than confront it. What you're experiencing now, however, is beyond smoothing. The universe is sending you a message that balance can only be achieved if imbalance is acknowledged. Sometimes protection looks like disconnection. And the disconnection you're sensing isn't cruelty, it's clarity. You're being asked to step back, not because you're unkind, but because your energy deserves to be preserved for those aligned with your growth. This is not about cutting people off in anger or rushing to judgment. It's about recognizing that some connections were only meant to last a season, not a lifetime. Just as the body eliminates toxins to restore health, the soul must release energy it can no longer sustain. You don't have to wait for betrayal or disaster to justify stepping away. The quiet discomfort is enough. That too is a message. In our daily lives, especially when we are busy or surrounded by obligations, it's easy to dismiss that voice. But what if the unease is not a distraction, but a divine nudge? What if the tension you feel isn't yours to fix, but to free yourself from? This kind of spiritual alert is what I call a soul-level checkpoint. It's subtle but sacred. It's not meant to scare you, it's meant to awaken you. Think of it like the gentle hand of grace on your shoulder, guiding you away from what no longer nourishes your spirit. In modern life, these messages can get buried under noise, screens, expectations. That's why it matters that you're here now, choosing stillness, choosing awareness, choosing to listen. You are not imagining things. You are awakening. And your ability to recognize this shift without demanding proof, without needing others to agree, is a sign of spiritual maturity. You are learning that your peace is not negotiable, that your light doesn't need validation to shine. Let this be your quiet revolution, choosing yourself without apology, choosing clarity over chaos, choosing love over loyalty to those who haven't earned your trust. If any part of this resonates, let it be a confirmation. You are being guided. You are being guarded. And you are being grown. Your only job now is to listen. Sometimes, when something or someone is about to exit your life, it happens with a subtle shift rather than a loud disruption. Libra, you may start noticing that a certain presence just doesn't sit right anymore. Conversations feel forced, the energy feels heavy, or you sense a disconnection that wasn't there before. This is not rejection. This is redirection. The universe has its own way of orchestrating energetic releases, and you are now entering a chapter where it becomes less about who stays and more about what is aligned. You have given this person many chances. You've tolerated what your soul quietly resisted because you believed in potential, or because you were taught that love means enduring discomfort. But the truth is, what you tolerated became a pattern. That pattern became a cycle. And that cycle of giving, hoping, forgiving, and then her tinges now reaching its divine conclusion. Not because you decided it, but because your energy no longer consents to it. Your evolution has spoken for you. That is the sacred beauty of energetic law. It does what the mind often resists. One of the most misunderstood forms of growth is when someone fades out of our lives not through conflict but through spiritual incompatibility. As you elevate, your frequency acts like a filter. People who once felt close might begin to feel foreign. Their intentions start to reveal themselves. Their actions stop matching their words. And more importantly, you stop feeling obligated to fix it. That's when the shift becomes irreversible, not because of blame, but because of truth. Libra, you are ruled by Venus, the planet of love, harmony, and value. But sometimes, in your quest for harmony, you ignore disharmony for too long. You soften conflict, absorb tension, and hold space for those who don't hold space for you. You silence your truth for the sake of peace. But what if peace isn't the absence of conflict, but the presence of integrity? The universe is now restoring that integrity on your behalf. Not to punish the other person, but to honor the quiet strength you've shown for far too long. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need a dramatic exit. Divine orchestration rarely comes with announcements. It's quiet. It's subtle. It's sovereign. You may start to see their true motives surface, or their manipulation no longer landing the way it used to. You'll find yourself no longer triggered by their silence or pulled in by their approval. That's the vibration shift. That's freedom. And you didn't have to lift a finger to make it happen, because spiritual justice is never yours to carry out. It's already written into the energetic blueprint of cause and effect. There's a kind of miracle that happens when we stop fighting for what was never rooted in truth. It's like a weight leaves the chest. You breathe easier. You sleep better. You smile without knowing why. That's what liberation feels like. It doesn't need permission. It only needs readiness. And Libra, you are ready not because you're angry, but because you are at peace. In your journey, it's okay to grieve the illusion. It's okay to feel sadness for what could have been. But let that sadness pass through you, not stay with you. Just as we don't mourn winter when spring arrives, you don't need to hold on to a version of someone that existed only in hope. This isn't about erasing the past, it's about no longer letting it define your worth. What's leaving now is not being taken from you, it's being removed for you. Because heaven knows when it's time to protect what's sacred. You. And you don't owe anyone an explanation for being called higher. Just trust the shift. Respect the release. Honor the part of you that said enough, even in silence. It may feel unsettling at first, Libra, when something you once relied on begins to crumble. A relationship, a collaboration, or a role you've held in someone's life may suddenly feel unstable or foreign. And yet, beneath that discomfort is a sacred invitation to rebuild something stronger, truer, and more in alignment with who you are becoming. In astrology, this is often what we call a Plutonian moment, a time when destruction doesn't mean failure, but divine preparation. It's the necessary clearing of energetic debris to make space for a higher version of your reality to emerge. You are not being punished. You are being purified. If the collapse feels sudden or dramatic, know that on a soul level, this moment has been long in the making. Your spirit has outgrown the agreement. The vibration that once held this connection or path together has shifted, and your soul can no longer tolerate what doesn't support its expansion. Often, when this happens, the other party senses the shift before even you do. That's why reactions come blame, guilt, dramatics, not because you're wrong, but because your refusal to shrink has become undeniable. There is no need to explain or justify your glow-up. You don't have to argue your clarity with someone committed to misunderstanding your growth. Your job is not to manage their discomfort, it's to steward your energy with intention. What comes next is not a reward, it is a reflection of the healing you've already done. When you begin honoring yourself, your energy starts to stabilize. You feel your self-trust return, like light rising over a landscape that had been too long in shadow. You may notice your finances begin to shift, opportunities that had once gone silent now resurface. Connections that felt stale may fall away, only to be replaced by divine appointments that carry resonance, mutual respect, and purpose. The imagery of the lotus blooming after the storm isn't just poetic, it's biological truth. The lotus grows in mud. It rises from the murk. It pushes through resistance to reveal its full beauty to the world. That is what your energy is doing now. You are not just recovering. You are revealing. You are remembering who you are when you're not constantly adjusting yourself to stay acceptable to others. And often, just when you least expect it, help arrives. Sometimes, she shows up as a gentle woman with quiet wisdom. She could be a new friend, a mentor, or even a stranger whose words reach deep. She may not look like a guide. She may not carry a title. But her presence will feel familiar, safe, and unmistakably soul-aligned. You'll know she's been sent not to save you, but to remind you that you were never alone during this transformation. She will not fix you. She will mirror your light and help you unlock the door you've been standing in front of all along. As this golden door opens, walk through it gently but firmly. Carry with you the lessons, not the scars. Leave behind the guilt, the loops of what if and was it my fault. You have honored the truth. You've surrendered what needed to go. And now, you are receiving not because of struggle, but because of surrender. Let this be a moment where you stop bracing for the worst and start expecting the best, not out of entitlement, but out of alignment. Because when the wrong things fall apart, the right things fall into place. Let the door close. Let the new one open. You are ready. You are chosen. You are rising. There's a quiet strength in knowing that you no longer have to chase closure, explanation, or justice. Libra, this season of your life invites you to rest in the assurance that divine balance is already in motion. You don't need to confront or correct what's unraveling. You don't need to defend your decisions or prove that your boundaries are valid. Because the universe, ever observant, ever just, has begun to respond to your internal shift. And that's what activates a higher form of justice, the kind that doesn't demand retaliation, only realignment. You have forgiven beyond reason. You've given second chances when others would have walked away. Not because you were naive, but because your soul believes in redemption. You saw the good in people before they were willing to live in it. But now, something has changed. Your frequency no longer allows your trust to be a currency others can exploit. And that, in itself, is spiritual growth. In the laws of energy and cosmic order, every action sets a ripple into motion. What was once done in the dark begins to rise to the surface, not to shame, but to bring light. Truth doesn't need to fight for attention. It simply waits for its moment to be revealed. And when it is, you'll feel something unexpected, not anger, but peace. Because you will no longer carry what wasn't yours to begin with. Sometimes, letting go isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of self-respect. And when you no longer cling to what drains you, you open space for something sacred to enter. That's what this moment prepares you for. As the dust settles from this release, you may notice a subtle shift in your field, a calm anticipation, a return of clarity. It's in that stillness that something new begins to stir. A conversation. A message. A connection that feels different. Less intense, more true. Someone may arrive in your orbit, not loudly, not urgently, but unmistakably in tune with the frequency you now embody. It might be a mentor, a collaborator, or a love interest who carries a quiet confidence, not built on charm but on consistency. You'll know it's different because you'll feel safe in your body when they speak. Your nervous system won't brace itself. Your intuition won't whisper warnings. This is not a recycled past in a polished disguise. This is alignment. And you've earned it by staying true to your own path, even when it hurt. When this opportunity shows up, and it will meet it with presence, not panic. Receive it with discernment, not doubt. It doesn't have to be grand to be divine. Sometimes, the most transformative invitations come in subtle, quiet packaging. You are not being tested. You are being trusted. The life you've prayed for begins not with fireworks, but with moments of deep inner knowing. Be gentle with yourself as you step into it. You don't have to overanalyze. You don't have to rush. Just breathe, notice, and trust that what is meant for you carries no confusion. If it brings you closer to peace, closer to your purpose, and closer to yourself, it's real. In this next chapter, Libra, the universe isn't just restoring balance. It's handing you the key to your next destiny gate. All you have to do is open the door. Not with fear, but with faith in who you've become. Libra, you've made it to this point in the reading for a reason, because deep down, you knew it was time. Time to let go. Time to realign. Time to reclaim what was always yours, your inner peace, your intuition, your light. And even though some moments of release may feel bittersweet, trust that they are the beginning of your expansion, not the end of your story. You are stepping out of a cycle that no longer defines you. One connection may fade, but that is not a loss, it is divine clearance. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. The person or situation that is being removed now is simply no longer resonating with the energy you've worked so hard to cultivate. Your light has grown stronger, and it's now too bright for any shadow that cannot stand in truth. That's not cruelty. That's clarity. And when the universe steps in to close a door, it's not because something is being taken from you, it's because something better is making its way in. Don't resist the shift. Rest in the knowing that the right people, opportunities, and paths will always meet you where your soul is honored, not drained. Over the next few days, watch for the signs. Repeating numbers like 444, 777, or 1155. A phrase you hear multiple times in strange synchronicities. A dream that feels too vivid to ignore. Or perhaps the simple lightness you feel when someone's absence brings more peace than their presence ever did. These are not coincidences. These are confirmations. Remember, Libra, you're not just healing, you're leading. Not because you have everything figured out, but because you've chosen to walk in truth even when it was hard. You've chosen to bless and release, rather than cling and control. That is the essence of grace. That is the power of living in alignment. So let me offer you this gentle encouragement. What if you started living as if you were already chosen? As if everything you're waiting for is already on its way? What if you gave yourself permission to walk forward without carrying what's already behind you? And now, before we close, I invite you to take your healing into practice. Let the energy of this reading move beyond inspiration and into your daily rhythm. Start with your health. Drink more clean water over the next few days. Flush out what your body no longer needs. If you can, avoid caffeine and reach for leafy greens like spinach and kale to support your liver and reset your nervous system. Just 15 minutes of gentle stretching, yoga, or morning meditation will ground your energy and sharpen your intuition. When it comes to finances, take a moment to observe your spending. Are you purchasing from a place of pressure or peace? Consider opening yourself to an additional source of income, not out of fear, but out of creative curiosity. A skill you've overlooked could be ready to blossom. In your career, ask yourself the hard question: does this work still reflect who I'm becoming? If not, what's one small step you could take to align more with your purpose? And in love, take a sacred pause. If you're single, write a letter to the highest version of your future partner. Describe them, speak to their heart, and then burn the letter with the intention of releasing it to the universe. If you're already in a relationship, ask yourself, is this connection helping me heal, or is it reactivating old wounds? Be honest. Be kind. But above all, be loyal to your own growth. If today's message resonated, I invite you to anchor your intention in the comments with this powerful declaration: I allow light to replace darkness. I give permission for blessings to enter my life. And if you feel seen, held, or awakened by this reading, please like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who may need this message. Every interaction supports the expansion of this sacred space. Here at Zodiac Whisper Tarot, you're not just a viewer, you're a light bearer. Your presence helps create a ripple that brings healing and clarity to others across this global soul family. So thank you, deeply and sincerely, for being here. And until we meet again in the next reading, stay aligned, stay open, and remember, you are the one the universe has been preparing all along.